I want to bring in hurricane expert Dan Kottlowski. And Dan, let's really quickly talk about what has happened to Marco. Was a hurricane yesterday afternoon, but as you and I spoke about on Friday, we knew that shear was going to play a big impact, but that shear has really been Marco's undoing.
Yeah, that's correct. It's kind of the upper level shear. What it does is it causes the upper part of a hurricane become tilted into the northeast, and that's exactly what has happened. So all the high level parts of the storm are now off to the northeast. The low level circulation center now is going to follow where the low level winds are, which are actually from the east. So you're going to see Marco moving into southeast Louisiana this afternoon, late this afternoon, and then turn westward along the coast. It'll actually move back out over water probably, and then just kind of fall apart just east of Houston on Wednesday, simply because there's nothing to support it anymore, and it'll be still strong shear over top of the system.
Meanwhile, Dan, Laura really did a number across Puerto Rico and Hispaniola as we went through the weekend. Lots of flooding. Unfortunately, we had some fatalities as it was a tropical storm. But while Laura has been dealing with the land over the last 24 hours, now Laura getting much better organized, Dan.
Yes, it is. In fact, when you look at the satellite image here, the center of circulation is actually right around where you see 20 north and 80 west is. 80 west is just east of Florida, and 20 is just over the Yucatan there. So right there's where the spot is. That's where the center of the circulation is. And the little island there you see west of that's called the Isle of Youth. That's where it's going to track right over. Now, the steering flow over top of Laura is the same one as Marco, except the fact the high pressure area to the north is much stronger now, or will be strengthening, forcing Laura to move on a west-northwest, then northwesterly course. And that, again, is the reason why Laura will move back into the Gulf of Mexico.
And let's talk about one thing that Laura's not going to have to deal with, Dan. And what I'm going to put up here is the upper level winds here. And what we're looking at where Marco is now is a lot of those black lines coming in out of the west-southwest. But as Laura comes into the Gulf of Mexico, that's all gone.
That's correct. The upper level winds, which actually dictate the shear quite a bit. You can see the shear just kind of disappears. You don't see as many, and the winds wrapping around that you see there is actually the winds caused by Laura then. So the Laura's only problem with shear will be when it gets close to the Texas and Louisiana coast as we get into Wednesday night and early Thursday morning. It's going to start to feel that shear. You can see water temperatures are very warm in the mid-80s. That's ideal for warm, for intensification. This also could influence what we call rapid intensification, where the winds increase like 25 to 30 miles an hour in less than 24 hours time. So that's very possible that we'll see that happening with Laura.
And Dan, Laura is going to go into a location where Marco was located, as far as Marco disrupting the Gulf, perhaps into the waters that Marco disrupted. In fact, perhaps making that a little cooler. Will that prevent any intensification from Laura as it goes over the general same area that Marco did?
Well, since Marco was such a small storm, the cool water wake is what we call it, behind the storm, is not going to be very impressive. It's possible that it could have a small influence when Laura's intensifying late tonight, tomorrow morning, but that will not be the case. Once it gets west of there, it's got plenty of warm water to intensify.
And Dan, I have about 40 seconds here. Let's talk about the track of Laura. I have that up as well. This is going to be a track throughout the Gulf of Mexico, and then they turn toward the upper Texas coast or Louisiana. Historically, that's a track we've seen before, and there's also some other history with these systems as they approach this part of the Gulf of Mexico, the west coast of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, historically what happens is a lot of times these storms tend to weaken as they approach the coastal areas. That doesn't necessarily mean the impacts weaken, but the winds drop off. So be prepared for that. But if they say that the storm is weakening, don't believe the impacts will weaken. Oftentimes the impacts actually are just as bad. So between a Category 1, Category 2, again, you can get a lot of major impacts. That's why we're going with a real impact of 2 for Laura.